Go ahead and talk.
Hello everyone, welcome to Jamboard. This is going to be a little bit about Google Slides and Jamboard because I kind of think neither one are perfect in their own right, but used together they work really, really well. So I'm happy about that. If you can't hear me, let me know. Anyway, to start out, here's a little hyperdoc on Jamboard. And here's the bit.ly up here. It's just bit.ly/TPS-Jamboard. A little bit about Jamboard to start with. Jamboard, this is something that kind of bothers me a little bit about Jamboard is it has 3 different versions. It has the web version that you get from a computer. And then it has the tablet version you get on either any kind of tablet, whether it's Android or Apple. And then it has a phone version that's the same, whether it's an Android or an iPhone. Any smartphone will show the same thing. So just to let you know, I mean, here's some tools, and I actually have a Jamboard I can open up to show you the differences on them. Now you can see I'm showing the web version and it has the tools at the side, and they don't even have all the same tools. Yet on a tablet, you have the tools at the bottom and they have sticky notes and images and drive content. The web version does not have drive content, and I wish it did, because you have the ability on a tablet to bring in like a Google slideshow and use it and even duplicate the different slides. You don't have that option on the web version. So that's very, very nice. But on the phone version, you don't have a text box. The only way you can make a text box on either the tablet or the phone version is to make a sticky note and take the color away. So it's not consistent on all of them. But at any rate, here are a lot of the tools, and I tried to put in there if it's only web or anything else. One of the things about Jamboard is that you can't really put backgrounds in without students being able to delete them. Anything you put, they can move or they can delete. On the other hand, slides, you can put some really great backgrounds in, but you can't draw. So I really like the ability to draw and do some different things in Jamboard, and I really like the ability to build complex backgrounds and kind of cool things in slides. So what I do is I use them together, and that's kind of what this whole thing is going to focus on. On down here, a little bit about sharing, but here's the part with the green header that shows you exactly how to create a background in slides. First of all, you open up Google Slides and you have to go to page setup because you want to make sure it's the same background size as your Google Jamboard is. And to do that, you change the drop down to custom, and we'll kind of walk through this. And then you set it to pixels, and you enter 1920 by 1080. At that point, we're just going to design the slides. We're going to put backgrounds, text, anything you want. Now understand this is going to be static though when you bring it into Jamboard. So here's the little secret. Put anything you want to be locked on the Google slide. Anything you're going to want your students to move, say we were making a sort board, all the background of the sort board would be done in Google Slides and then brought in. But anything you actually wanted them to sort, you would bring in inside Jamboard. Okay? One thing to be aware of, you cannot bring an animated GIF in through Google Slides. It will be static. But I do like animated GIFs, and you simply just go to Jiffy from the website and save it either as a PNG or a GIF file, and then bring it in. So you can do that easily. Now, to open it up, then you just go to Jamboard and set the background. Now I have on here also here's some different samples, and we'll kind of show you that, and we'll make some together. And I have some curated resources down here that you can click on and go to any one of them. while this is just showing on YouTube, if you download or open up the Google Jamboard HyperDoc, these are live links. And most of these, or 99% of these, I have not created. These are just things the curated resources are things I found from other people who've done them. And they're really cool things. Like this Sylvia down here. I don't want to massacre her last name, but she is actually giving you access to her Google Drive folder. So if I click that and open it, you can see that it's opening her Google Drive. And here are all of her resources that she's giving away for free. So that's really nice. Some very cool things in here. Not all of them may be your grade level of what you teach, but you can adapt them to do whatever you need them to do. Now, there are 3 types of Jamboards. One is a kiosk, and that runs the Jamboard. It's the big machine. If you have one of those, that's really kind of cool. But we don't have any in our district. They're kind of expensive and they're somewhat proprietary, so there's really not much you can do with them. Then there's the app-based and the web-based. So we've kind of talked about that. So let's jump in and let's look at some things that we have on Jamboard. Here's one, base 10 blocks. Because there's a little bit of lag here from when I click it and when you open it, when you see it open on your screen. And I created this one, and it was simply with the cubes and the rods and the flats. So it was just a simple thing in Jamboard I did for some of the little kids. So they can sort them out. The whole secret is when you put all these in and you stack them up, make sure that you duplicate the page, because you can see I've got them all stacked here. Duplicate them, and so you don't have to do it on each page. But this is just a bunch of them, and you can drag it out and use them. If you want any of these, shoot me an email. My email should be on that Google Jamboard HyperDoc, and so you can kind of play with it. This next tab that I'm clicking is a Google Slides. And here's some things that I've created in Google Slides. I created this document as a literary board for middle school, high school. And so basically, the first page, I created a background, and that's something really kind of cool that you can do with book title, author, date published. And then we go into the second slide, which is plot overview. And I added rising action, climax, falling action, because I don't want to put anything in there besides what I've got, because I want the students to either type or write it. Now, the cool thing about Google Jamboard is that you can actually send them out through Google Classroom. And you can send them to groups of kids or just to individual students, and each gets its own copy. I kind of like to do groups so they can collaborate, but that's completely up to you. You can see that I also have a slide for main characters. And once again, it was just create a cool looking background, which I'm actually going to show you how to do that too. Use your shapes up here and draw them out. Once I get them, I just copy and paste it so they all look alike, and then move them where I want them to go. I have a slide for theme and symbols, so they can put that in. And you can either have them put pictures in, you can have them write, or like I said, do the Post-it notes. Every book has a key question and an answer, so they can put that in as they want it to be. The other thing you can do is send this. You have 24 upcoming events. Have it come out and assign each one to a group. I also like to put in endings where I ask a question and they have to go back to the story to find an answer, and with an example. probably the last part of this, and you can see that this was actually set up from To Kill a Mockingbird. And so I determined the 4 different characters that I wanted them to look at and why. And so if I wanted, and you can make this as simple as they can put a Post-it note with their name and a little 1 or 2 liner in it, and then they can paste them and the whole class can do it at the same time. So how do I get these then into Google Jamboard? Here's the Jamboard that I kind of made from this. And you can see it has the same thing. Here's slide 1. I click up here, it opens everything. Here's the plot overview. So if I wanted to bring in more pages to that, it's a pretty simple matter. So I'm going to go over here and create a new page and click on it so that it is active. Then I'm going to go back to my slideshow and select the page that I want to export. Once it's selected, all I have to do is go up to File, Download, and then I always use PNG because I think I like PNG better than JPEG. Save it someplace on your computer where you know where to find it. And I'm just going to call it Slide 2. And I just drop them on my desktop so they're easy to find. And I don't need to keep them. I'm going to go back into my Jamboard. And at that point, click Set Background. I have 8 choices. And of course, I want the one that is an image. And then I can either upload by URL, camera, whatever. I'm going to browse, or I could drag if I had more than one open. I go to my desktop, and it was called Slide 3. I think, well, maybe I need a Slide 2. Whatever you name it. And brings it right in. So now I have my main characters. And so you do that for every single slide that you want. So how do I create some of these backgrounds? Well, first I'm going to show you some other backgrounds I have. I do a lot of things with Seesaw also, and I do the same thing in Seesaw that I do in Jamboard. I create all my backgrounds in Google Slides because it's a great way to create everything and then bring it in completely locked so that they can't change anything. These are just a few of them that I have. And once again, it's very simple. Just create a box with an outline. I also create choice boards in Google Slides, and I just put out the ones I want for each individual one. I have several to choose from. And these are simply easily created using the shape tool, a number, an arrow. So if I wanted to do that. Here's another one where they can choose by color. They can choose 2 red and 2 blue activities to do on a topic. Students always perform better if we give them choices. Here's one that I put in, and then I cover it with something so that they can scratch it off. And so here's the number, and then they can talk and make a better determination and then see if they get it at the end. So these are all things in here that we can do. I'm going to create a new slideshow. And on here, get rid of everything on the front page because I don't need any boxes. And at this point, I want to come out to a Google search, and I'm just going to search for backgrounds. Images. And you can choose some really wild backgrounds. Maybe I wanted something like this one over here because I'm just going to use part of it. And here's how you do this. I can actually press down on my mouse button, press up, drag up to my untitled presentation, hesitate, drag down, and drop. I'm going to stretch this out because what I'm doing is not going to make any difference. And you think that's kind of dark and that's kind of intense for a background? Well, it is. But there's a couple things we can do. First of all, let's come up and get a shape. Stretch it out, fill it with white. Now what I have is just a frame. This is an interesting frame. While it was way too busy for a background, it's great for a frame. Let's create a new slide. Once again, get rid of everything. And let's look at a different kind of background. You can see our district has a lot of things blocked. Maybe I want to try, let's see, something like this. Do the same thing, drag it up and drop it. And I want to show you how you can change the color and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, just put a rectangle on top of it, filled with white. And now you can come up and say, I want to go to Format Options. Format options are found under Format, and what it does is it opens up something on the right. And you can see that there's some different things in here. I can have reflection, I can have drop shadow, anything else. Text fitting, position, size rotation. So you can actually start kind of playing with these. You can put colors in here. So if I wanted to come in and say, I want this to be red. But another way to do this, I'm going to get rid of everything. And I'll just start from scratch again. I'm going to come into background with nothing. And I'm not going to put in any picture. I'm going to choose a color. So I'm going to bring some, just make this green. Okay, and it can be bright green. It can be any color green. Let's make it neon green. Done. Now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to bring this background in again. And you can see that my formatting options have kind of changed. I have something called adjustments. And I love adjustments because I'm a big Photoshop person. And in Photoshop, I have the layer blends that I can kind of do, and I can change all sorts of different things. So I was thinking one day, wonder if I can do the same things in Slides. And you can, just by using the adjustments. I can actually play with the transparency. And depending on what you do, here's how it comes in. And as you play with that, it changes. It's going to blend the two together. You can play with the brightness and make it pretty bright. You can play with the contrast and do something else. Now, leaving it at that, think, yeah, that looks pretty good for a slide. I'm going to duplicate this. So maybe I wanted the same color theme, but instead of that bright green background, I'm going to go for a bright pink. Once again, I can change the transparency and play with that. I can change brightness and contrast. And I can keep doing the same thing. And just simply change my backgrounds. So maybe we should try something softer. Once again, depending whether you have a harsher background or a softer background, determines how much you change your transparency. So you can see that this is pretty simple to do. And you can kind of play with any of these backgrounds. And that's how I've made a lot of them. You know, this one, this portrait background, you don't even have to use the whole thing. So I'm creating a new background, and I'm going to drag this in just to show you. If you don't want something showing on the bottom, just drag it down and then drag the top up. Now I've got this gray background. What can I do with it? Go set your background colors. Make sure you click off the image first. Hit backgrounds. And let's try a pink. Click on it again. And you went from gray to a dusky rose. So it's real easy to make cool backgrounds. On the pre-service, this is one we had for a pre-service meeting where we were just going through and making ideas. And you can see, here's an animated GIF that I brought in. And it was just really this spotlight through clouds. It was the stage I just found in backgrounds. Here it is in blue. Here it is in green. Here it is in kind of a yellow. So if I have it here and I wanted to bring this one in, simple matter. Make sure it's selected, which it is. File, download as a PNG. I did this in slide 3. Back in Jamboard, set my background. Now you can see I'm back in Jamboard. Students can't move this. They can't do anything. If I wanted one of the choice boards, I can export that or download it. And now I have a choice board brought in. At this point, if I want to bring something in for choice boards, I can either put pictures in here by just coming over here to and add an image. I can either upload by URL, camera, Google image search, Google Drive, Google Photos. So I can bring something in. Or I can just write. I can either use a text box. Or I could put something else in there, a picture. So anything you want. Remember, anything in here is editable. Anything that you brought in from Google Slides is not. So that's a pretty simple thing that you can do. Just a few basic things in Google, in Jamboard. You have a pen so you can actually write or draw in here too. It's very limited on different things you can have. You just basically have 6 colors and 4 different pens. There's the pen, there's the marker. The marker is a little fatter. I wish it had more of a selection with the size of your marker and the opacity, maybe a couple more colors, but it is what it is. And then here's the paintbrush. The paintbrush is really more like a highlighter. In fact, I use it for a highlighter. You have the eraser. The eraser will erase anything. That's an annotation. But it does not erase text in a text box because that is not an annotation. You also have the selection key, arrow, so you can click on anything. Then you have your 3 dots meaning more, so I can edit this, I can duplicate it, or I can delete it. If I had more than one thing in here, I can also change the order. This is my sticky note. Here are all my colors, or I can say no color at all. That's what you have to do on a tablet for a text box. Picture. Once again, for the picture, I can upload. I can choose a URL of an image. I don't, as a rule, do that because I have been caught before with the URL on the image changes or somebody deletes it and then it breaks. And like I said, I don't know it. I can do a Google image search. So if I wanted to search for a panda, I can put any of that in there. So insert. You are somewhat limited on this also. I can right mouse click, duplicate, delete, or order. You can't really put a hyperlink into something or show a video in this. That's where Google Slides is going to be better than a Jamboard. But once again, Google Slides doesn't have the ability to write. You do have shapes you can put in. limited ones. And then, of course, you know about the text box, and the last one is just the laser pointer. What I tend to do is I tend to have my iPad open at the same time. And as long as you are logged into your Google account, you can actually do some things on your iPad at the same time with the same account, which is nice. The share button up here allows you to share, and I can share this as with anybody that's in here. I can make it public on the internet by just doing that. Or I can just get the link and send it out through Google Classroom. You can also, by clicking the gear, they can see the option to download, print, and copy. I always let people do that because it's why not? The 3 dots up here, I can rename it. I can download it as a PDF, save my frame as an image, remove, copy, anything else. Something that's brand new is look at your version history. This is probably the latest update to it. So I can come out here and I can see back on April. These are the people who made some changes. Since then, someone else added something, but nothing lately. Just like all the other Google things. If I wanted to clear the frame, I just click clear frame. That's how you get rid of pictures and other things besides annotations, though it takes care of that also. Jamboard is a very simple whiteboard app. The cool thing is it actually does work in Google Meet, and that's nice. But it doesn't have a lot of features. It just kind of shows what you've got here. The power that I like is coming from Google Slides. If any of you want any of these things that I've done, just let me know. Shoot me an email, and I'm happy to give them to you. But that's just some parts. Now let's look up here, back at our curated resources. If I click on these, Matt Miller has a ton of stuff that's really kind of cool. Some of these are a bit far out there. Eric Kurt's, the rainbow drawing one is kind of fun. Sometimes that's a little harder than what I really want it to be. So hopefully you're seeing this on my version of YouTube. It's kind of frozen there. There we go. So here's Matt Miller's. Click on it. It'll open up. Matt Miller has a lot of great things. If you don't have Matt's books, you need to invest in them. At least one copy for your school to put in the library, because he has so many awesome ideas. He has classes you can take for hardly any money at all. But he goes through what it is, tells you a lot of cool things, gives you stuff on all of this, how you save it. But then he has also great ideas for doing it and using it. Other things down here, infused learning. And we didn't even talk about Canva. If you use Canva, they actually have Jamboard templates. And it's easy to use. I love Canva. You can use it with all your Google stuff because it's free. If you were a teacher, all you have to do is prove you're a teacher. You can upload your school badge or whatever else, and they will give you the premium account for free because you're a teacher. So then you can bring in backgrounds. They have some ideas too, but mostly it's the backgrounds and that kind of stuff. That is so, so cool. Holly Clark has a Jamboard Wakelet. I love Wakelet. It's a great way to curate all the resources that you can use. When it pops up here, just scroll down. Wakelet is also free to use. And if you want to make this your own, so you can add to it, it is. Here she has a story plot. thinking routines, quick writes, poetry blackout, morning meetings, 6-word stories. I've done 6-word stories for years, and it's a lot of fun. Ratios and proportions for 7th grade math. So Holly has things for all sorts of grade levels and a lot of different content areas. I talked about Canva earlier. And here are a bunch of ideas in Canva that you can go into and take a peek out. Here's CSI, color, symbol, and image. So that's a lot of fun. The 4 C's. And so if it comes up, Canva had trouble and a lot of things blocked it. So they have done some things so that the bots can't go in. And so it's one of those where you have to click on all the different things twice. Who knows if that's a bicycle or not. And then it will come up and make you copy. And it's Google Slides, even though it's for Jamboard, they put everything in Google Slides. And the cool thing about forcing a copy is it's going to open up and save to your own Google Drive. So now you can see all the things over here at the side that you can use. How do you get this back into Jamboard? We've done that, and you know. So that's kind of a cool thing to do. There's also templates from Chris Shiner. Chris is used to be a kindergarten teacher, I believe, and then he went to be like a tech, instructional tech person. And now he's been hired by Seesaw. And so he does a lot of their training and creates resources for them. And Seesaw just is in the process of coming out. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but they're coming out with projects that districts, school that has the school license can purchase. And he's done a lot of them. So it's very, very cool stuff. Anyway, take a peek at all that. Another thing I do is I use things from Slides Mania. If you're not familiar with Slides Mania, you need to be. Slides Mania has all sorts of templates. They also have icons that they've added. I'm going to come up on Slides Mania and I'm going to look at some of the education stuff. And I'll just look at interactive. If you come up with an ad, just close it. I know ads are annoying, but the lady who does Slides Mania is not an educator. She does this all for free. She lives overseas and she just does it as a hobby and it's fun for her. And she gives it away to all of us to use. The only thing she asks is that when you download it, you leave her name on it to give her credit for it. Hey, that's a simple thing to do. As teachers, we are so grateful for anybody that gives us all these cool things. And the least we can actually do is to come up there and give them credit. Other things, here's choice boards. You can see fun things that you can do with choice boards. You can create games and gamify your class board. She's just gotten into math and science stuff. There are also some really cool things that by educator for educator. And those are a place she puts on her website where you can go up as a teacher when you've created something and you want to share it with the world. Same thing. You can upload these and let other people download them. And so right here's one, ser and a star, if you teach Spanish. What are ser and a star? Well, they are two verbs in Spanish that mean to be. And depending on different sets of criteria, which one is used when. Here's a book report one. Here's an activity. So anything. And when you choose one, a chessboard someone's done. So a lot of times they're for Google Slides. Sometimes they're for from PowerPoint. But on anything that's done by the company here, I'll choose manipulatives. I chose the market. If I scroll down, you can see the different things and it kind of goes through. But I can come down and you can see it gives you can go through each one to see what each slide looks like. Now, this is a great incentive for teachers to leave all those worksheets behind and create some interactive type presentations that students can actually use. If you're a Microsoft school, you can download the PowerPoint. If you're a Google school, you can open it in Slides. And to open it, it's a simple matter to click Open in Slides. You can see once it pops up at the top, it says docs.google.com/presentations. I'm in Slides. If you want to use it, there's a blue button in the upper right corner that says Use Template. And now it is your own template to use and change any way you like. Remember slide 7? Leave this on here. And so she gets the credit. Good enough. So those are where I get a lot of ideas. I can take this right into simply downloading this page as a PNG and taking it in. Here's my market page. I want to come back to just this demo. I want to bring this in, so I set my background, picture, browse to my market. And now I have this open in Jamboard. This is for elementary teachers. I got a lot of my idea from elementary teachers. I am not an elementary teacher. My background is secondary. But elementary teachers decorate their rooms and they decorate everything. And there's no reason when you're working in a digital realm that you should not decorate everything you do. Everything can be colorful because we're not printing any of this. This is simply used online. So we might as well make it look beautiful and colorful and attention grabbing and not boring. Now, if I wanted to get an animated GIF, which we talked about earlier, I can just go to Jiffy. And it's Giphy, search for it. And you can actually search things in here. So I can search for a shopping cart to go in my store. Now, I don't actually give students, I would never suggest a student should come into here because not everything on Jiffy should be used by kids. But say I want this, I can download it by just right mouse clicking and save image as. I can also copy the link here if I wanted to bring it in as a link. Okay, here's my short link. Come up to here, bring in my image by URL. Now, what does it tell you? Well, you can only select, it's trying to tell you that you don't have a license to use that. So if you're going to do this, what you're going to have to do is download it. So save link as, or save picture as, save image as, sorry. I'm just going to name it cart.
Man, I disobeyed.
And you can see that I have it set. So that's how you bring an animated GIF in. If I wanted to bring in a picture that had a background, you can go to removebg.com. That's also up here on the Google Doc. And it tells you up here in this section to take it out. So, and that's fine. But I tend to use, because I tend to use Photoshop because it's, to me, that's easier. But removebg.com, I mean, it's fine. You can remove backgrounds with that. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know. There's nothing in the chat. So I will sign off. Thank you for coming in. It was fun spending the last 45 and 50 minutes with you. Need to get a hold of me? G. Ramirez at tps501.org. Thanks, everyone.